Head over to miniaturemarket.com. They have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Challengers. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Just a couple days ago, Z-Man Games released or announced their upcoming game for Essen Spiel Fair called Challengers. This is a capture the flag game where you're constructing your deck and basically playing gamer war. Let me show you how to play it. I'll see you on the other side. In Challengers, each player is going to start with a starter deck. It's going to actually have 6 cards, ranging from 1 to 4. These are sort of attack values. And over the course of the game, you're going to be building your deck, constructing your deck, playing cards similar to like War, and trying to win and keep the capturing of the flags. And the game plays up to 8 players. And each mat, this is a sort of neoprene mat. It comes with 4 of these different mats. Here's just 2 of them. And so what these means is on this mat, 2 players are going to be playing simultaneously against each other, playing their cards, trying to capture the flag and win the trophy for that round. The game goes through different rounds. After the 7th round, and each time you win this, you're going to get a certain amount of secret fans. You're trying to have the first most or the second most fans at the end of the 7th round, because the 2 players that have the most will play in the finals to win. So again, each of these mats is going to be having a simultaneous match going on. Up to 8 players for 4 mats. Here we have just 2 mats, so we're playing about 3 or 4 players. Now the game goes through 2 phases. Each round you'll go through a deck building phase and then you'll go through the match phase. So with this, during this, now you'll see we have decks of A, B, and C. Now it's really clever how they figure this out, but each player gets one of these cards depending on the amount of players there are. Like this tells you during rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These different matches, it shows you which board you're on. So this one, I'm going to start round 1 on the red mushroom board, and I'm going to be able to add 2 A cards from the A deck to my hand. But as the rounds go on, you're going to get choices. Like I could add 2 A's or 1 B, 2 A's or 2 B. 2 Bs, 2 Bs and 1 C or 2 C. So you're going to be getting better and better cards as the game goes on, but you have choices in some of these. So this one said I could get up to 2 A cards. So how this works is you actually draw 5 of these cards into your hand and say these are the cards I drew. Now there's different factions. Now notice they're all from the A deck, but they're different factions and they have different colors and different signs here. There's actually 6 factions in the game that you always just remove one of them, either randomly or on purpose. There's like a UFO space one that they recommend not to start with. But maybe these are the cards I got. Look at these. Some of them they'll range from 1 to 3 when it's like an A deck. The 3 ones are rare. There's only 3 of these in the entire deck, but it's worth 3. Where like one of these ones are they're smaller numbers, but they'll give you an ability that makes it worth your while. Now we'll talk about what these abilities do, but you can, again, we can keep 2 cards. So we can either, if we liked 2 of these, we could keep 2, or we could keep 0, or we could keep 1 because, let's say we just kept 1 of those cards. We'd put the ones we discarded up here, and because we have, we kept 1, we draw 4 instead of 5, because normally you would draw 5, but I kept 1. I discarded 4, so I'll replace those 4, and I get a second chance to kind of look at my hand and get a second card, for example. I'll add it to my hand, and I will discard the rest, and all players are doing this simultaneously. Then you'll shuffle your entire deck. Now you can remove cards. You probably won't do it in the first round, but we'll go over more of that strategy later. But you have this deck, you shuffle it, and again, I'm going to be playing on this deck versus somebody else is going to be on the other side. Normally, if it's first round, you'll randomly say who goes first. Otherwise, whoever has the higher trophy, whoever won the better trophy has to go first. But it's simple. It's like gamer war. You're just going to take this card and you're going to flip it up. All right, so let's say I flip this up. Well, it's the worst card I possibly could have gotten. It's from the starter deck, S, and it's just a 1. It's just a newcomer. Now, I actually get the flag because I started it, and so I have a 1. So now the other player has to go. So let's say the other player flips up, and guess what? They have a newcomer too. How boring, right? Not really, because when you tie or you have more, this player has now gave up the flag to this player. Now this player is going to go to your bench. You'll notice spots on the right side here. Your bench is on the right. Now this is interesting because now when I play my next card, this is a 1 Jester, and it says this is one of the ones I got from my deck A that I said. Now if there's at least 1 card with base power of 1 on your bench, this card has +3. So this guy's great to play if you have a bunch of 1s or at least 1 on your bench. This guy's now a 3, which means you're going to take the flag from them, they're going to go to their bench, and now you have the flag. So let's say the next player plays this from the top of their deck. They don't know what it's going to be. Put up 2 cards from your bench into your exhaust pile. Now this is really cool. The butler, he's cleaning up. Now why is this cool? Because there's 2 ways to win the match. One, if your opponent has no cards left to play, you win. Assuming you had the flag. Otherwise, if their bench gets filled up and they have to put another card there, their bench is full and they lose. So having cards on your bench is bad. This one allows them to get 2 cards to your exhaust pile. This essentially puts in a discard pile. They'll get it back at the end of the round. Now, this card is a 1 and this is a 1, but remember, this one's actually a 3 because you had a 1 on the bench. So this player is not winning. They got to go here. So now they're at a 3, and this is at a 3 because of the ability. They've tied, so they get it. So they're going to steal this. This is going to go to my bench. And the cool thing about this is all the cards that you had to use to get that flag actually are placed underneath. So this is the only card that the other player has to beat. But this says if this card is in flag possession, this card is +2. So this card's an actual 4. The cards under don't count. And it gives a really clever mechanism as you're really going back and forth stealing the flag from each other. Another player has got a 4. I do a newcomer. Oh man, I only got 1. I do another one off the top of my deck. I've got 4. I've tied. I'll take this. And this goes like this. Now let's say this the other player then next turn is able to kind of take this flag back, and I've got to discard these to the bench. This is where it gets pretty clever because this newcomer will go to the bench spot that the other newcomer are. Each card type has 1 bench slot. So that means you can build synergies of cards, and the more cards you have of the same type, as you lose more and more little rounds here, you're not going to be taking up more bench spots. So it's one of the strategies in the game is try to have a lot of the same types of cards that synergize with each other. And again, whoever either cannot play a card, the other player wins, or if somebody can't, their bench is full and they have to play another one of their bench, they've lost. So whoever wins gets this. It's going to be worth a certain amount of random fans. This is basically points at the end of the round. It's kept secret. There's also certain abilities that might gain you fans directly that you'll put in front of yourself. At the end of the game, it's all the fans you've gotten, plus all the fans your secret fans from the trophies you've won. The 2 most after the 7th round go to a final match. They don't draw any cards for that match, but they can discard down. And then whoever wins the final match is the winner. So after that match is over, whether I won or lost, I'm going to go to the green mat, and I'm going to be able to draw A cards and take 2 of them. And so that's sort of how the round works, round 2. So each of these little things take about 3 minutes to play, really. But let's show you what some of these B and C cards do. Now remember, when you get your cards, after you've taken your cards, you can always discard as many cards from your hand. And there's a lot of strategy in that because sometimes you want to get rid of the weak cards, but sometimes you might not want to because their numbers synergize with some of the other cards. And you're trying to find that balance between having enough cards and not running out of cards, but also not having too many different cards that you'll run out of your bench. So here we have different cards from the B deck, like the Necromancer. Put 1 card with a base power 2 from your bench on top of your deck. That's great. You get to play them again and it gets them off your bench. If you have a single or no card left in your deck, this card is +2. So it would be a 6 if this is your second to last card or your last card. It's the life card. The Clairvoyant. When this one loses the flag, you get to look through your entire deck and choose any card and put it on top of your deck. That synergizes really well with some of the other cards in the game. Cowboy. If this card gets in flag possession, your opponent puts the top card of their deck on their bench. Again, that could cause them to lose the game, depending on when that is. Let's look at some C cards. So for the C cards, here's some of my favorites. The Vampire. Put 1 level B card from your bench on the top of your deck. Pretty cool. The Villain's a 10, but you must put the top card from the A deck pile on top of your deck without looking at it. So you're getting a really weak card late in the game because you wouldn't get this card until you're in the last few rounds. Bumper card. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck and return them in any order to the top of your deck. That's really cool. You could set your deck up. Submarine. Put the bottommost card of your deck into your exhaust pile. So lots of different weird and wacky abilities. You're just trying to find the best deck because you're essentially playing war once you have it built. Again, whoever has the 2 best points from fans, from trophies and fans at the end of the 6th, 7th round goes to the last final match. Whoever wins the match is the winner. When I was a kid, I played a ton of Capture the Flag. I absolutely loved it. We would play it all the time. So I love the theme of this. Let's talk about what I liked about this first. The best part about this is finding fun synergies of this. Like you might have the makeup artist that makes all 1s that are played a 3. So you might have this makeup artist and you hope you get him out early in rounds and you hope he goes to the bench to trigger that ability. So maybe you synergize at the beginning of the game when you're going through the A decks, grabbing a bunch of the 1s instead of the 3s, right? So again, just fun synergies, building your deck with 1s, maybe finding that Clairvoyant I showed you, and then finding that makeup artist from your deck, putting it on top, and re-cranking that engine. It's fun to find little synergies between the cards and running your engine. Even though you don't have quite a lot of choices which cards coming out, you know which ones are in your deck and you're trying to build that the best way. I like that you're finding the right quantity of cards to discard. This is huge in the game. You draw some cards, you can decide, let's discard some and draw some more. I don't want any of those. Or maybe I want one of these and I'll discard and hope to get another better second card. I like the flexibility of that, especially because, as you'll hear when I talk about the negatives, the game is crazy random. You can build your deck all you want. Don't take this game too seriously. So trying to dig down gives you a little bit more flexibility to try to get the cards that you might want, that you might not everybody be able to really use well. But that's the game. It's just the way it is. This is an interesting take on sort of deck construction, deck building, where you're building your deck, you're thinning it out, you're trying to decide how many cards to get rid of. That's a huge part of this game. Do you get rid of too many? If you get rid of too many cards, you're going to run out of cards and lose. If you keep too many cards, you're going to put too many on the bench and you're going to lose. So where is that balance? I like that aspect of that. Sometimes you're choosing the worst decks for synergies. So hey, I could grab one B or two A's. Well, guess what? If I get that makeup artist, I'm going to go back to that A deck and get some synergies to get a bunch of ones to make them threes. All right, so I like that aspect that you can kind of choose the worst decks, the ones that are valid for that round, to try to build some synergies. This game definitely has like really fun finishes. You know, when it's in the finals, everyone's going to be standing around watching the final match because they've probably played against both of those players. They kind of know what their deck's like. They kind of want to see, oh, this guy killed me with this, with the you know the werewolf and the dragon and all this other stuff. And well, now let's see what happens. Like you know, it's just fun. Everyone stands up and watches it. This definitely, the format of this game reminds me of my favorite game of all time, Baseball Highlights 2045, where you can play these epic tournaments and little mini games, and you build your deck, and you get to the end, and you have this tournament, and you get to the end, everybody watches it. It's just really fun. That part reminds me of the fun of Baseball Highlights 2045. If you watch this video and you think this game's for you, or you've played this game and you love it, even if you don't like baseball, check out Baseball Highlights 2045 because it has a lot of these feelings that this brings it to you. I like that this game takes the same amount of time for all player counts because it's basically all simultaneous. This is a unique game. I don't have anything in my collection like this that plays 8 players sort of simultaneously like this, that has the feeling of like deck construction, fun battling, quick and easy, but has that sort of tournament style where at the end there's only one winner and everyone's sort of watching it. It's a very unique game. I don't have anything like it in my gaming library. Now let's talk about the negatives I have here. I think this game has an identity crisis. You look at the art on the box, you look at the art on the game, and you think it's a kid's game. It's not a kid's game. Gamers like it. It's definitely a family light level game, but gamers like it and it looks like a kid's game. Like if I walked by this box cover, didn't know anything about it, and I saw the name Challengers and saw the box cover, I would probably pass right by it in a store. They should have, I think the game did itself a disservice in what it looks like versus what it is. I think they could have made the art a little bit more adultish, even though it says, I think it's 8 and up, I think it is, but it's not, I mean, yes, kids could probably play this game, but they could also play it with a little bit more adult artwork without being totally grotesque. But have it be a little bit more. I know the game's sort of light and goosey and you can't take it too seriously, and that's the art kind of goes that way. It was just too kiddie for how much fun we were having with it as gamers, if that makes sense. I wish they would have come up with a better name. Challengers is just kind of like, what? Okay, it's about a capture the flag. Why not have the name flag somewhere there? Flag war, flag battle, something that says we're doing capture the flag. Granted, if you look at the box, you could probably tell, but I probably wouldn't even have noticed that because I would have walked by the box so fast. This game, the cards is a problem for me. The quality of the cards are low. They're already getting gummy a little bit, and we haven't played it a gazillion times. You're gonna need, I'm not one for sleeving cards, but you're gonna wanna sleeve these cards. This is a card game. You're constantly holding, playing, and shuffling these cards. They're gonna get worn out. The quality of these cards are not that great. They should be better for a card game. They put all the money into these nice neoprene mats that I don't really care about. Sure, they look nice. Sure, they roll up. I would have liked 2 little pieces of cardboard that fit together like a puzzle. Give me better cards that I'm using all day long and take a little bit off the neoprene mats that, sure, it's easier to pick cards off them, but you could have slid them off a little board. I would have preferred better cards and ditched the neoprene mats that probably costed the money that could have been spent on the better cards. Odd player count, not nearly as fun. Having the bot there, I didn't show it actually in the overview. If there's an odd amount of players, there's a bot, and you can configure them with different levels of difficulty, but the bot doesn't like build its deck, it just plays against you. It's random because if you play the bot and it's an easy level and you end up playing it later in the game, you're gonna get the ones with the more trophies. Like the later the trophies, the more fans you get. It's definitely not balanced. I don't like the odd player count here. It worked way better with even players. The last thing is probably the biggest. This game is very lucky. You can construct your deck the way you want and stuff, but it's just gamer war. It doesn't make the game bad. It's actually really fun. I have a blast playing the game. But the luck of it. I mean, if someone has a deck that has mostly all the same cards, if they were able to get 2 or 3 of the same card, they're gonna win. Because they have cards, some of them are gonna be strong, but they're the same. And when they fill up their bench is going to fill up slowly. It probably not ever fill up all the way. Luck of the draw is huge in this game of what cards you actually get to choose from, but it's also very lucky. So if you go into this saying, hey, we're going to play an 8-player game, it's going to be fun, the art's kind of kiddie, but it's kind of a light game, it's got some really fun abilities, got some great synergies, let's just play for 45 minutes, we'll have a great time, we'll have a big hoopla, the last thing will go, we'll all be yelling and cheering, we'll have a great time. If you're going into it like this, which is the way I'm approaching this game from now on, it's a blast, and it's exactly what you're going to hope it's going to be. If you go into this game thinking it's going to be a kid's game, it's not, because of the art. And if you go into it thinking it's going to be some great strategy game because you're building all these synergies, it is, but it's not, because it's still luck plays a huge part of this game. But even with all those negatives, it's so unique and so fun, and plays so many players simultaneously, has that tournament feel like baseball highlights. It's still getting a saxophone serenade because I think the game is that fun. It just creates an experience that I don't have in any other game. So with that being said, it's getting the biggest award I can give it, which is a saxophone serenade, which means about 6 months from now, when this comes off my new arrivals shelf, I'm gonna have to find a game to get rid of it. So this has been the Game of a Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships with board games, helping you find the next one you love. Let's hit it. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing, thematic, premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below to late pledge for their latest Game Topper 3.5 Kickstarter campaign.